Hey guys, today I'm going to make a beautiful oyster pie to Amuse, but with a big twist, because the shell will be edible as well. The oyster shell we'll make with an oyster stem, and fill it with an oyster cream, marinated oyster, a Samphire Vinaigrette, and a salty herb bundle. So, let's begin. First we're going to open up some oysters. I use Dutch oysters from the Oyster. Put an oyster between a kitchen towel and place an oyster knife in the joint. Really make sure it's stuck and then twist the knife to break the joint. Now place your thumb between the two shells and then gently cut the muscle on the flat side off and take the shell off as well. It's always super important to smell an oyster. It needs to smell fresh and a bit salty, otherwise it might be bad and you could get very sick. Now use the knife to cut the muscle on the bottom shell. Be gentle so you don't damage the oyster. Then turn them around and place them on a tray. After that, cut the oyster just behind the muscle and keep the belly on a tray. Pass the liquid through a fine sieve and cover the bellies to prevent them from drying out. Then keep them covered in your fridge for later. The other part we'll use to make a cream. For that, weigh 70 grams of the oyster trimmings and also add 20 grams of sushi vinegar, 20 grams of egg white, 2 grams of salt and 10 grams of lime juice. Now blend this till smooth. Once smooth, add 220 grams of a neutral oil and blend it till it's emulsified. I use sunflower oil. Then transfer it into a piping bottle and let it set in your fridge for at least 1 hour. You can keep this cream for 1 to 2 days. Now for the Samphire Vinaigrette. First the oil. Mix 30 grams of Samphire with 10 grams of chives and 150 grams of a neutral oil. Again, I use sunflower oil. Blend this till the temperature of the oil is 65 degrees Celsius. It will heat up from the friction. Then pass it through a superfine sieve or a sieve that's lined with a kitchen paper to clarify it. Keep it in your fridge to prevent it from changing color. Now for the base, mix 50 grams of sushi vinegar with 30 grams of ginger syrup, 50 grams of champagne or prosecco wine, 2 grams of salt and 10 turns of black pepper. Mix this and then transfer it into a piping bottle. Keep both the base and the oil separate in your fridge for later. Now for the oyster pie tea shells. Pour 300 grams of a fish broth into a measuring jar and also add 70 grams of flour, 70 grams of an oat flour, 25 grams of cornstarch and 3 grams of salt. Now blend this till smooth. Then pour half of the batter into a small jar and add 2 grams of squid ink to the remaining batter. Blend this till it has an even color. Once that's done, heat up some frying oil till it's 170 degrees Celsius and heat up the oyster stamp as well. This one is from Malt Brothers. Once it's hot, pour the white base into a small container and drizzle the dark base on top. Make a preferred pattern with a tweezer. Then dip the stamp into the batter for around 5 seconds and let it sit for a minute to dry before deep frying it. Now deep fry it for around a minute till it starts to change color. Once it starts to change color, gently press it off the stamp and take it out of the hot oil. Then let them cool down completely. Now place them flat side down and spray a touch of silver spray on top. I always do this outside, otherwise you'll be seeing glitters for weeks. Then dry them at 50 degrees Celsius for an hour or two. Meanwhile, toast 200 grams of marrow bones at 180 degrees Celsius for an hour. This will melt the marrow and create a wonderful toasted flavor. Now take them out of the oven and let them cool down for a minute. Then scrape the marrow out of the bone and measure 45 grams into a blender. Also add 20 grams of cocoa butter, 25 grams of white chocolate and 2 grams of salt. Blend this till smooth. The chocolate and cocoa butter will melt from the heat of the toasted marrow. After that, pass it through a fine sieve and let it cool down till it starts to thicken, but it's still liquid enough to pour. Then use a brush to add a layer on the inside of the crispy oyster shells. You probably need to add 2 to 3 layers and let it set in between. Without the marrow layer, you can keep them dry and covered for a couple of days or even weeks. But with the marrow, you can keep them dry and covered for a day or 2. Now for the shallot rings. Cut both ends of a shallot and remove the skin. Gently cut it in even thin rings with a sharp knife or a sharp mandolin. Then wash the rings in ice water for a minute to balance the sharp taste and make them crisp up. You can also make sweet and sour shallot rings. That would be very delicious as well. Now drain the water and spread the rings on some kitchen paper. Keep them covered in your fridge for later. Then the bundle. Blanch some chives in salted water till softened and then directly cool them down in ice water. Now place a piece of chive on a cutting board and lay your herbs and flowers on top. I use sea fennel.
nasturtium leaves, samphire, carrot leaves and a sorrel flower. Then use the chive to bind the bundle together. Wind the chive around the bundle and cut the bottom off to tidy it up. Now let's finish the mousse. Pipe a dot of the oyster cream at the bottom and place the oyster on top. Pipe another dot next to it and drizzle some of the vinaigrette base on the oyster. Then also add the samphire oil. Now press the bundle in the cream and place a shallot ring on top. Once the amuse is plated, it's best to serve it directly to prevent it from turning soft.
Okay guys, that's it for today. Incredibly happy with the result. I mean, come on, it looks incredible. You have all those little bubbles in the oyster shell, so it looks so realistic. Then the bone marrow in the inside of the shell. I mean, that just makes it look even better. And then flavor-wise, it's gonna work fantastic because bone marrow and oyster, it's combination made in heaven. And then the beautiful cream, it's not so stiff, so it's not like a thick mayonnaise, but it's still a little bit runny, and I think that is just gonna work wonders for the texture as well. Little herb bundle, beautiful sorrel flower for some freshness, and then the salty herbs, a little bit of chives. Yeah, you've seen the video, you know what's in it, but I guess let's just dig in. Not sure how to eat this. Just gonna take a bite because it's very weird. Normally you slurp an oyster, but this one you can just take like it is. So let's dig in. That's so happy, guys. Yeah, guys, you need a napkin, but that's okay. That's so fucking good. You have the crunchy oyster shell, the bone marrow, the saltiness, the toasted bone marrow with the saltiness of the oyster works so well. That's like an umami bomb. And then there is that tiny bit of sweetness from the white chocolate. It just brings it all together. Yeah, super good. This could be a signature amuse for a seafood restaurant, or yeah, just a very good restaurant. Yeah, guys, very happy. Little update on the studio as well. It's coming along. There is a bit of delayment on some stuff, unfortunately, but the whole thing is ready. We're just waiting for a couple of things, and then hopefully in a couple of weeks I will be able to record my first video. Up until then, I've put some lights back here in the kitchen, so you can expect a little more videos because I've been working on the new website, on the new studio, and it's just a one-man show for me. So filming, editing, website, I'm all doing everything by myself, and it just takes a lot of time. But thank you for your patience. Hopefully it will be finished soon. For me, all the work is done now, so I can focus back on my videos, and I will upload more and more regular as well. So appreciate the support, guys. Please let me know in the comments on what you want to see next. Like and share the video, and subscribe if you want to support my channel and if you want to see me cooking in the new studio. And as always, bon appetit. So fucking delicious.